Hi, everybody. I have this beautiful pleasure today of getting to do energy work for one of the elephants with the wildlife SOS. And this elephant's name is Lakshmi. And I want to thank you big time to the client who booked this session. And thank you for booking the previous session as well to send healing to Ginger, another elephant with the wildlife SOS. I actually pulled up this picture of Lakshmi so we can all see. That's what she looks like. It does kind of look like she's smiling. I mean, it kind of does, but then you read about the hardships, and I think maybe the smile is just in the rescue and the support from a loving group of people. So here we have recognizable features. For instance, is Lakshmi is termed as India's skinniest elephant, is extremely emaciated and thin, making her head look much larger than her body. Her present health condition, Lakshmi is suffering from issues like chronic abscesses, overgrown toenails, arthritis, bent knees, abnormally deviated limbs, which are a telltale sign of abject malnourishment and negligent healthcare. I mean, there's a lot here. And so I get to do healing for Lakshmi today. I think we should all participate in healing for Lakshmi today and continue to send healing for Ginger as well. I'll put a link in the description to the session I did for Ginger. And again, big thank you to the client for booking these sessions. It really means a lot. And I feel very touched to have the opportunity to get to know these elephants and get to help them. Because without you, I probably wouldn't have even known about Ginger or Lakshmi or the wildlife SOS. So thank you very much for that. All right, so you'd shared with me, and I'm just going to read these goals out loud. I just want to kind of introduce us more to Lakshmi today. But you say, thank you for Ginger's healing session. It was so wonderful. The next elephant that I would like to send healing to is Lakshmi at Wildlife SOS Elephant Hospital. She has suffered from years of abuse and malnutrition. She is incredibly underweight and her bones and joints have been malformed. When she was being rescued, she was touching the pictures of the elephants on the sides of the truck with her trunk. You could tell she was desperate to be with other elephants. Again, though, in her delicate condition, she isn't able to be with other elephants. Whatever we can do to help speed up her recovery. Thank you so much. Oh my God. That really moves in my heart. Animals are not animals. They're really wise and perceptive, beautiful beings. Okay, I'm gonna relax and get connected here. Lakshmi, the elephant. What can we do to help her with her healing and recovery so that she can spend her years with other elephants? Okay, this is my first experience, not very articulate with the visual image. Basically, it's kind of a black blur, and it's in a shape, which is kind of like a backwards R in a way. But there's this rounded part that goes out towards the left and comes back in, and then there's sort of like this leg that comes out. So I'm looking and experiencing this as my balance, okay? Okay. My guides take the image of this backwards R and then we move it so it's straight ahead and it just becomes a thin line. It's almost like they're showing Lakshmi that it's really easy to heal. It's so easy. See, look, if we just take this and we turn it like this, and then we can allow this to disappear, and now there's nothing here. And now everything is just this whole open experience. I feel like Lakshmi is actually a quick learner, isn't necessarily focused on what's wrong, but focused on what's right. Because even as we're looking at this, and it's a little disorienting for me, as my guides turn this and then we disappear the line and now we just have this open energy space, and Lakshmi's like nodding, like, okay, 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 like wanting to take notice of all these. It's almost like making a list of what I can do in order to heal, in order to move forward, in order to have the next life experience, one that enriches my life. Isn't really focused on what's wrong or the past, is wanting to move forward with the gift of living. All right, this is hard. You guys ever choose to be optimistic and then you kind of lose sight of the reality? So sometimes you have to bounce between optimism and then back to reality. And in reality, we have to live in the pain sometimes. And then as we live in the pain and we adjust to that pain, then we can go into optimism and continue to bounce back to reality. So we have to kind of circulate through this, okay? As long as we don't go too far and hold on for too long, the misery and a sense of hopelessness, sometimes we do feel that way. Sometimes we definitely do go there. It's okay if we feel the need to go there, because sometimes we have to. But I see Lakshmi is more wanting to go to optimism, lots and lots of optimism. It's easy to heal. I can do this. I got this. And then back to reality again. Not going to hopelessness and despair. It's or lack, like lack. I'm never going to get there, like a Lakshmi, but lucky, like good, optimistic. I see that there's a lot more of the circulation and reality. Okay, it's tough. There's things that need to be healed. I can do this. I can do this. Oh, reality's tough. There's stuff I got to heal. Okay, and I'm doing this. I'm healing this. Okay, life is tough. So it's kind of circulating like this, okay? I'm having a hard time. Once we snap back to reality, it's the R happens again, and it's almost like things are leaning kind of in the wrong direction. And this might have to do with the joints, the malnourishment could have to do with that, because I feel fragility in the bone structure. Like I could have a broken leg if I'm not careful. And I want to go in more deeply into her body, into like, I want to stand in her own shoes kind of thing. And there's some energy that's just constantly pushing outward. And I feel like it's, again, has to do with motivation and trying hard to conquer to get to the new experience. And so we got to kind of work more with reality. I want to feel the pain more, so we can start to heal it by choosing to feel it or be present with it. So you'll have more room for the growth and the brightness and the optimism of it all. So I'm working on getting in here. Yeah, okay, another thing. Man. Not wanting to... I kind of felt this with Ginger too. It feels like when they have a family member, even if they define it as a family member, even if that family member isn't perfect, let's say we have a human that's largely involved with their life or the direction of their life, they'll be protective of that family member, even if that family member could potentially be abusive. Because I feel like she doesn't want to think less of anybody. She doesn't want to think less of any humans that have been in her life or her condition or how she was treated. She doesn't want to put energy into that. And so when I try to look off to the side with my right eye, and it's like I see memory that we need to look at, that she doesn't want to put any energy into it, because it's like going against the grains of the elephant heart. Like I'm not going to look at that and say that was abuse. I don't want to even put energy into that. However, because it's part of her life path and her life lessons, it's almost like going to challenge her spirit in this elephant body to go against the grains, a pinch of the elephant nature, because we're going to have to look at something that was not good, okay? And we're gonna have to feel the not good about this. I feel like in a elephant pride, like Lakshmi would be like a very positive light for all the other elephants, really lighthearted. Like the personality could even be just, if you could see Lakshmi as a person, she would be one of those friends who's always bright and cheerful and emanating a positive attitude. I get that feeling from her nature, but we got to look at something that goes against the grains of that. So we can do this. We can do this. She shows me, as I keep trying to look over, she shows me herself instead, and she emanates all the colors of the rainbow in every direction. And she refuses to go into anything that is pain at all. Like, she's not going to go into her memories of pain. She's not. Okay. I mean, I think that's amazing. I still feel energy imbalance because we have to experience the whole of life, and the whole, it's okay to experience the whole, the dark and the light sides of life, because when we experience the whole, we develop as a whole. We develop more as a well-rounded emanation. But I'm open-minded to, we don't have to work with pain. We don't have to go into that. We don't have to pay that any mind. I'm like very open-minded to that. So I'm just going to listen. I want to see what her ideas are, and I want to see how I can hear the balance shift from her ideas. I tell her she's not going deep enough. I tell her that she's doing an incredible job. I mean, my gosh, high five. I love this rainbow that you're expressing. I love your optimism. I love your positive attitude. I feel like you're going to inspire a lot of people to think as you're thinking, as you're expressing yourself. It's really enriching to be around such a positive emanation. But it has to go in, it has to go deeper, because you do have parts of yourself, Lakshmi, that felt an endured challenge. And so we need to go into the parts that felt an endured challenge, because they need to be acknowledged. It's like seeing everybody in the class that's getting an A+, but not acknowledging the ones that are getting the F. Not because they're bad, but because they're different and they're on the more challenging side. They're just as important as the A+. They're just as important. So we need to go down into that. She's afraid of being angry, she says. She doesn't want to be angry. She feels like she wants to move on. She has nothing to hold on to anymore. She just wants to move on. And if she goes into that, she feels vulnerable to anger. And she doesn't feel like it's her personality. I say I'll help her because it really isn't her true nature to be angry, but there's something about why she's having this lesson to challenge herself to experience other emotions. Not that she's an angry elephant, but she did go through suffering. And that suffering, you could say, wasn't right. It was not good. It was bad. It's okay to be angry about being treated harshly. It's okay to say you felt that way. Otherwise, you kind of sound like it's like hearing somebody talk really happily about a terrible injustice that was done to them. Not in a way that it was hard and I'm still grateful for all I learned, but it's like, oh, it was fine. I'm fine now. Everything's great. Look at me. I'm healing now. I'm so wonderful. Look at how rainbowy colored I am. And it's like, but I feel like we need to also acknowledge that something wasn't right here. I want to make sure you're taking the time to acknowledge the not right, because that's part of the healthiness of the healing process. All right, this is good. Her elephant body disappears, and what's left is a spirit that's actually a wounded soldier. And the wounded soldier doesn't want to fight anymore. And the wounded soldier is up against a really dark shadow. And it's like, if the wounded soldier doesn't fight, this dark shadow has won. Just hear me out on this, okay? That's what the scene is representing, okay? And let's work through this. I talk to the wounded soldier. I say, so you're exhausted. And because you're exhausted, there's no more fight left in you. And if there's no more fight, then there's no more capacity to explore this any further, is kind of what you're saying. Deep inside of Lakshmi, there's still this need to protect against this harm. I don't know how to explain everything that means, but I tell Lakshmi, okay, the next thing that I'm experiencing from this image, you still feel like this dark shadow of injustice, or this dark shadow of harming or pain or torture is still lingering, is still alive and well. You don't have to face it anymore, but I still feel an aspect of yourself still there with it. Is that right? What do you feel about that? Lakshmi says, I only wanted to help. I only wanted to make it. It's almost like the angelic act of helping this dark shadow to come back to the light through being a very strong and sturdy reflection of the light and never wavering. Another reason why Lakshmi doesn't want to go into this pain and suffering to give it any energy, because the goal is to always stand strong, even with joints and issues and starvation and malnourishment and all of this. Even in the midst of all of this, to still stand strong for the light, even when you're struggling to stand at all. Stand for something angelic and good and beautiful. Okay, so I asked my guides, what is there anything else we can do with this image? This wounded warrior, this shadow. Lakshmi, I really understand what her nature is here. Is there anything else that I need to do to help us to move on from this image? Lakshmi has to do something that is not herself. And So I have to have Lakshmi actually work through the vision with me, and then we're going to work through the emotions of it, okay? This is only an idea. This isn't an actual follow through. It's just a concept. The concept is the wounded soldier, which is holding a really long pole with a point at the end, stabs it into the heart of the black shadow, which is going against the grains of, I will not do anything of harm. I'll let others harm me, but I will not do anything of harm. Only to go through an exploration of seeing, feeling about this, and talking about this. That's what I have to do. So we're going to do this together. Because she is afraid of being angry. Because she is afraid of being angry. She's afraid of being violent. She's afraid of losing herself to these emotions. She's not afraid of being angelic. She's afraid of being angry and then becoming violent and not being able to control herself, because she is vulnerable to violence and anger because she's been harmed. She's still sensitive to this, okay? So I'm going to help her with this. She doesn't have to. She only has to look at the image and see how it makes her feel as she goes through basically a simulation of it. Does she feel out of control? Does she feel like she's losing herself to this image? Does she feel like she's not herself? A part of her wants to, like, she's more associated with being human than being an elephant. I mean, I see, again, the wounded soldier is a human, and I see the elephant, there's a man coming out of this elephant, and I see him like huffing and puffing, like, aggressively, with the concept of stabbing this pain in the heart, this torture, this environment. And I say, see, you still are standing for something solid and just. You didn't lose yourself to this. You're not ripping anything apart the way it ripped you apart. You're angry, but you're able to control your anger. You're able to channel it in a way that is of strength. It's like strengthening the bones, strengthening the feet and the foundation that you stand on, the foundation of your own body. So to tap into this anger in a healthy way is actually going to strengthen your body. You're not losing yourself to it. As you can see, you are strong in the light side, and you're strong in the passionate warrior side. And you're strong in who you want to be and how you want to represent that personality. You didn't lose yourself in this image. You didn't. And because we went there, because we went and explored it, because we challenged you to lose yourself and you didn't, now you can see yourself with more depth, and you can channel that energy in as something that's going to help to restore the balance of your body. And now Lakshmi has pride in herself. She's not just a happy, bubbly elephant. She actually is a warrior spirit as well. And she feels proud. I mean, she emanates a stronger perception of who she is. Okay, let me see what else. I'm just going to go into very specific parts, the joints and the feet. I feel like these are really important parts of her body that we need to work on. And then anything I can do to help her body to absorb more of the vitamins and the nutrition and all of that. Let's see. My guides say first we need to strengthen her spirit, not her optimism. She's strong in being optimistic, but she has to be strong in the warrior spirit. that was really important that we did that to help her with her healing process, because the spirit of her is finding a wholeness within itself and a genuineness. Now I feel like I'm going to look at the feet, okay? All right. I'm going to have to do an elephant no-no. I'm going to have to lay her down on her side. Because I can only describe this as doing energy surgery here on her legs or knees, or I have to do something to repair the foundation of her body is her legs and her feet. I'm impressed that she's still standing, to be honest. I mean, she needs brand new legs. She needs brand spanking new legs. I'm going to have to show her a really disturbing scene, but this is going to be very similar to what we just did. I show her herself lying on her side, and I show her her legs it's almost like broken legs that fuse together in an imbalanced way, and they're not useful. Not like if they would have healed properly. It's literally like that in my vision. And I literally have to break her legs again. But this time I got to put the bones back together in this seamless, balanced way. So that as they heal, the structure is strong. We need it's her legs and her feet create a strong foundation for the rest of her body. It's really essential that she has this. I don't know why. I mean, it's pretty hard to watch, to be honest. And we can feel the pain together of how horrible this feels. It's just have your legs broken, but it's like your kneecaps pounded on. But if you were to see it in the scene, it's also very much so like I see an image of a dwarf who's like doing blacksmith work, and is pounding out this metal into a flat, straight piece so it can become whatever it's intended to be, whether that's a sword or whatever. And so it's almost like a blacksmith working on her legs as though they're chunks of metal that need to be reset and pounded down into proper form. And it's really painful. It feels like somebody's bashing your freaking bones and kneecaps in. But then it starts to not be painful anymore. It starts to feel invigorating and strengthening. I see, this is really neat. I see some like Indian deity spirits, and they're providing her with really really healing medicinal teas. She's literally drinking medicinal teas. It's really great. It's kind of funny because she looks like an elephant sitting upright like a human in a little cafe chair at the little round table with a tiny little cup, and then the trunk kind of pulls up and it's like this sipping of medicinal teas. It's really cute. And she smiles, and she's very proud of herself. She's even proud of herself as to how she didn't lose herself to anger. And she's proud of herself for laying down and letting this work take place, because she's not giving into pain on the level she needs to give into it a little bit, so that it's like rocks the boat to wake up the system to how we're going to reorganize and rebalance all of this stuff. It's almost like wake-up call that doesn't go to the extremes of breaking anybody down, breaking her down, but it is pain that becomes super healing. Like it kind of needs to be this way. So her legs are looking a lot stronger, a lot better built on the energy side of things. So when we can hold that pose, It teaches her body how to align with it. It teaches her body how to align with it. I'm telling you guys, visualization techniques are powerful. If we can all work together to visualize a balanced structure for her body can remap itself to that blueprint that we're all visualizing for her. We can do this for each other too. We can do this for the whole world. We can create a new mapping and blueprint of a beautiful Garden of Eden space in harmony, or however we want it to look, or however we want it to be. And when we do this together, oh my gosh, it just amplifies and amplifies and amplifies and amplifies and amplifies a common dream or vision. So to see her as a strong and healthy elephant, we all see her as a strong and healthy elephant, not just in spirit, but in body. Now she's given the blueprints through the gift of all of us and all of our energies working together to help her body to align with our vision for her, which she adopts as her own vision for herself. This is how we work together. It's really amazing. She's not ready to stand up on her legs or feet just yet. But let me see what the next thing is here. Because I feel like maybe there's another thing about legs and feet we need to look at. She tells me a secret that she's afraid that she might not ever get to spend her life with the other elephants. And that makes her cry. And she doesn't want to admit to that because that's then a weakness. And she doesn't choose to be weak about anything that she's been through. And I say that's not a weakness, that's a strength. Having the courage to acknowledge that makes you feel weak and vulnerable to your emotions, but actually makes you stronger. Because you're choosing to allow yourself to be in another simulation of a reality where you won't get to be with those elephants. Does that mean that you're manifesting that as your future? No. It's you exploring your emotions. That's all you're doing here. So let's go into that. Let's go into this vulnerable reality that could be. I don't see that being the case because I'm strong in the reality where you are with the other elephants. But it's okay to venture into this reality just so we can explore it emotionally. So let's go do it. Oh, she just weeps and weeps and weeps and weeps and weeps and weeps and weeps because she's vulnerable to loneliness. She does not like to admit. She's always choosing to be optimistic to the point that she has to take the time out to live in certain realities of her emotions and venture there and work through that. So she's just weeping and weeping and weeping with loneliness. She refuses to be, it's like she refuses to be lonely. Even if she were to be alone the rest of her life, she refuses herself to ever know or feel disappointed in that. But beneath the surface, the truth is she's ridiculously sad about it. You ever meet somebody who's so optimistic and so happy? It's like they seem almost not real. And then when you hear them admit to something, it's like you feel like the whole mountain just moved or shook, or like you just feel it inside yourself. Wow, you're the depth of you just came through. Thank you for sharing that with me. And she's expressing this. Just wrung that vulnerability right out of her heart, because I feel her coming back to herself from that simulation experience of loneliness, weeping. She's coming back to herself and feeling that much stronger again. Because she's honest with, I want to be around other elephants, and when it's just me, I can do this as just me. But it is a lonely feeling, and it's okay to feel that and acknowledge that's part of my truth too. But she's not weak in it, because she wouldn't strengthen herself by participating with her true emotions. So She's actually ready to stand up, and she's like turning into a horse, and she wants to run and gallop like freely like a horse. I mean, I'm telling you, this Lakshmi is, I mean, she's really powerful with her own light, and she doesn't want to bend for anything, but when she does, she comes out on top. I mean, she doesn't lose herself. She's really strong. And I like the human, I like the elephant, I like the horse, I like that she's like got multi-dimensional selves. I love the Indian deities and the medicinal teas with her drinking it. I like the dwarf images, the recreating her legs to give her strong legs and feet, strong foundation for her body. I like the creative images that are coming forward here. And we didn't have to go too deep in these sensitive places for them to heal quite quickly. Okay, let's see what else, okay? Yes, she's on her feet and she's running like a horse still. She shows me she's a horse and she has silky, like a black beauty kind of thing. She has a black horse with black mane and tail, and it's like a silky look to her appearance. And she's running like the wind, and she's crying because it feels so wonderful to run, like gallop, like run like the wind. She's just so happy and so bright in her spirit. And suddenly this is good, because in this scene, her legs are becoming vulnerable and I hear something break and she falls and just sort of falls down, and her body is kind of just drifting across the ground, like sliding. And she says, like, I'll never be able to run again. I'll never be able to run or be free like a horse. I say, but you were running and you were free like a horse. Maybe we're just learning how much you can and cannot do right now. Starting to see that she has a lot of work to do. A lot of practice, it's like she shows me she's going to be practicing moving her body, practicing behaving and living like a healthy elephant. She's doing everything in her power to get her health where it needs to be with the other elephants. She's extremely motivated. She just shows me she's going to have to keep practicing. That's what she defines it as. She has to keep practicing moving her body like a healthy elephant, acting, behaving like a healthy elephant to be a healthy elephant. It's very inspiring. Boy, if everybody in the human race had this kind of motivation, what a different world, you know? Let me see. So I take this leg and I just hold it, and I go inside the bone and I become light. And that light moves through all of her bone structure and it glows. And I see her body is absorbing more and more moisture, energetic moisture. That could be vitamins and water and nutrients and just the nourishment that her body needs to be strong and healthy. Letting more in, like a dry sponge. There's something about horses with her, because I see more spirits, and there's they're actually stand upright, but they have the face of a horse. These horses are actually like humanoid horse beings. And they also look like horses, but they kind of, in my imagery, it's like they're standing upright and look like humans with horse heads. And then they start to look like horses that are galloping and jumping and running around. And then they go back to looking like kind of humanoid horses. And they're constantly helping her with the restructure of her body and the growth and the healing, the development of her body. She seems to be connected to other races of beings. It's interesting because we see an elephant or we see any animal, but we don't think about them having spirit guides or alien friends or soulmates, or we don't think of them having guardian angels, but they absolutely do. And we're helping our friends in any form, in any timelines, whether we're animals or plants or people or stars or planets. We're helping each other. And even planet Earth has angel guides, and everybody is interconnected with beautiful beings of light that are there to help. And it's really cool that Lakshmi has these horse beings that are helping her through this healing process. It's really neat to see that. It may take some time to rehabilitate, but she has the right attitude. I mean, her attitude is inspiring. It's beyond it is an inspiring level of determination and love and optimism. It's really neat. Thank you again for giving me an introduction to these elephants and the wildlife SOS. It's really something new, and I'm having a lot of fun connecting with them. Thank you for sharing here with YouTube, and I just really value your generosity, and thank you so much. And I hope you all have a wonderful day.